What's up everyone? Today we have the 2019 Honda Civic Sport. This is an all new trim level for this year with some refreshed styling, some new features. Can't wait to show it to you. We're gonna go through the exterior, the interior, and of course we're gonna go for a test drive. Let's get started. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in for this review of the 2019 Honda Civic Sport. This is a new sport trim for 2019. We've got refreshed styling as well. And before I get started, I want to give a big thank you and shout out to Honda Cars of Rockwall in Rockwall, Texas. They were super generous to let me take this out and show you guys a review of this 2019 Civic. If you're in the DFW area, please be sure to check them out. Now, right away, starting on the exterior of the Civic, we get a little bit of a new looking front end grille. We still have the flying wing design, but our sport trim gives us black accent pieces. We have LED daytime running light standard on all trim levels running under the headlight. Our model gives us halogen headlight bulbs, but you do get LEDs on the touring model, and we even get fog lights right below those. Once we get over to the wheels, our wheels will range from 16 to 18, and we have 18-inch wheels with 235 with tires on the sport trim. Pretty unique, definitely looks similar to other Honda wheels. Moving up to the mirrors, the one thing about these mirrors is that they're only heated on the EX trim level and up, which is a little bit disappointing. So something to keep in mind if you live in a cold climate. But we do have a spoiler rounding out the back that is kind of a fast sloping design. The spoiler is on the sport trim and up, and it's a black spoiler for the black accents. The taillights have integrated LED light bars, and our sport trim even gives us a cool little center outlet exhaust, and that is just on the sport trim for this Honda Civic Sedan. So big news for the Civic is that for 2019, all of these Civics get Honda Sensing Standard. That'll give us forward collision warning with emergency braking, lane departure warning with lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control with low speed follow, automatic high beams, Honda lane watch on the EX trim level and up. No blind spot monitoring, but you do get the Honda lane watch camera, a little bit odd with that. And then rain sensing wipers to top off the touring model. Let's go ahead and take a look at the cargo space. There's a few different ways to get into the cargo space here, and with the sport trim and up with our smart key, we have a little tab right under there you can touch to get in, as long as the key fob is on you, which is very convenient. Opening this up will give us 15.1 cubic feet, which is actually really good for this class and matches and beats even some mid-sized competitors. In fact, the touring model actually loses a little bit down to 14.7 because of a subwoofer, but do have a couple of pull tabs to knock those seats down, as you can see, and that's actually really flat to get that down. One complaint is that when you do close it, you do have these exposed, the exposed metal here that can impede on your cargo if you're not careful, and there is actually a compact spare tire and jack kit underneath. The key fob for the 2019 Honda Civic feels just like any of the modern Honda key fobs. We do have a real physical key we can pull out of here. You do get this on the smart key with the push button start on the sport trims and up. Remote start with a CVT transmission instead of the manual. The way this works is we've got this button to push it to lock it. Now it's locked, or we have a sensor behind the door where you can open it. Easy like that. And then there's even a walk away lock function to when you get far enough away, it can lock. Now taking a quick look at the Civic interior, we do have a semi-soft upper right here, trim piece right there, plastic right here, a soft material but not a whole lot of padding, but still a decent place for your arm. Automatic up down windows for the front, your mirror controls, a decently tall bottle holder that can go up right here, open your trunk right there, little storage cubby, which is always nice to see. As typical with Honda, they do have a good solid door slam. In the sport model, we get sport pedals as well down below. Seems like a really nice, well-built interior. Very practical, which is typical of Honda, and there are some things you'll notice that are a little bit different. So starting out, let's go ahead and turn it on with the sport model. Go ahead and start it up just like that. On the steering wheel, this is leather wrapped on all but the base model, and we even get paddle shifters, which is pretty cool. You can have a little bit more fun. We will try those out in the test drive. Good old-fashioned steering wheel controls for your stereo. You can use the pages button for the screen up there. This does have a nice plastic coating over it, so it won't actually wear off like previous generation Civics. Phone controls, you can activate Siri or Google over here as well. Main to turn off and on your adaptive cruise and lane keep assist. Change your distance between your radar cruise control or adaptive cruise control, and then your other plus and minus buttons as usual. The lane keeping assist as well, you can turn that off. Right over here, you can turn off the emergency braking by holding that button in. Traction control, same thing, and your lane departure alert right there. So easy to use controls, automatic headlights, and our fog lights right there. Manually control them on and off. You will get rain sensing wipers on this stock if you go for the touring model. And then when we take a look at our gauges, you've got your temperature over there, your fuel gauge over there, and then a big digital display here in the middle, or a pretty decent sized digital display that is nice and clear. It's all tachometer right there and digital speedometer. Using the steering wheel, we can scroll through miles per hour or kilometers. Your trip computer, which is pretty basic, you have an A and a B, and then you can scroll through for oil life, your music, and of course your phone, and then back to the miles per hour and kilometer. And I do like the way that this looks. It's definitely a sporty little look. It's very clear, much clearer than the actual camera is showing you right now. And moving across the dash, it is really nice to see that we actually get a volume knob, which is good, you know, something that you would expect. No tuning knob still, but we do have physical buttons over here. This is the 7-inch touchscreen on the Sport model and up. They will all get this, except the base will get a 5-inch display that is not touchscreen. For this stereo right here, there is a lot that you can do on here. This touchscreen is not the fastest or the most responsive, but there's a lot of information that you can see and a lot of different things that you can do. With our audio, I do like having the real physical buttons. Let me go ahead and show you guys all of the sources for our audio right here. We do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, of course. We just don't have the Sirius XM on here. We do get a 4-speaker system on the bottom 2 trims. Then you'll go up to an 8-speaker or a 10-speaker. A lot of you have asked for audio clips on the stereos, and just using my microphone here, we'll see how it goes with the bass, the mid, and the treble turned up some of the way. Here we go. And then when we back out, there's a lot that you can see. I like the info. You can even change your wallpaper, look more into your trip computer, all of that stuff. A lot of different settings you can change with your lights, your door locks, all of that, which is really nice as well. Even your camera, a lot of stuff on there, and you can always back out of all this stuff with the physical buttons. Honda Link is a whole nother thing in itself that could take a whole nother video. We do have automatic climate control right here. You'll get, this is single zone, so it's just the one temperature, which it will show you up there. Got some nice turning knobs, fan speed over here, temperature here, and then your other controls. Dual zone will be on the EX model and up, but single zone right here. A nice little storage bin right there, and right behind that we actually get even more. We get a 12-volt and a USB port and another little storage cubby accessible from my side and the passenger side. Let's go ahead and shift into reverse with our CVT. I'm a big fan of Honda's backup cameras. Maybe this isn't the most clear or high def camera, but we do have a widescreen option, a kind of a normal option, and then a top down. So if you're backing up to something or you want to get right above something, you'll know exactly where you are, which is pretty cool. This shifter does feel pretty nice. We've got some leather surrounding it. We can go down into the S mode for sport mode, and we have a brake hold button, so you don't have to hold your foot on the brake at a stoplight, stop sign, drive through, whenever you want to use it. Electronic parking brake, the economy mode over here. And then running across here, we do have a glove box that is decent size. It's not softly lined or soft opening or anything like that. And it doesn't even lock, which would be nice to see. Right behind here, this is where Honda gets really creative most of the time, and I do enjoy that. Got couple of bottle holders. Let's see if my tall big bottle fits. No problem with that. These do move forward and backwards. You got another USB, another cup holder. If you've got something really tall, you can actually take this thing out of here. More space back there. There's actually a little divider underneath of these cup holders, so very clever storage area, which is really nice. Then when we have this down, you can move the armrest ahead. This is soft on the side, this is somewhat soft right here, so that is also really nice. No LED lights up here, no automatic dimming mirror, at least on this trim. We do get one on higher trims with the garage HomeLink system, No sunroof in our model right now. And one thing is that our visors have mirrors, but we don't actually have lights. And then in terms of going out, the actual visor will move out, which is always good to see. Now, in terms of the visibility, it's really not too bad. We do have a sloping roof line. There's a little window, corner window back there. Otherwise, pretty standard for the class. So starting with these front seats, before I say anything else, I'm 5'9" and I pump the seat all the way down and I can put more than a fist above my head. That's phenomenal. If you're really tall, at least for headspace, you should be just fine. It does have a pump action, which does move a whole lot. It's a really slow process getting that pump action going, but I've got it all the way up now and I still have a little bit of room. So if you're short or if you're tall, you should fit in here pretty good. On the base LX in this sport trim, we've got all manual and cloth seats around. The seats are pretty soft and pretty comfortable though, and these seats in particular do have some decent bolstering on them. They've got a little bit of a synthetic material on the edges. The headrests aren't too terribly far forward. There's even a little bit of bolstering around the thighs, and I've found them pretty comfortable in my short time being in here so far. And then once you get up to the EX, you will get heated seats that are still cloth and 8-way power, and then once you move up to the EXL, you'll get leather, and same goes for the Touring, heated leather seats on the EXL and the Touring. And then when it comes to the steering wheel, we do have a lever pretty far down there. That is one thing. The steering wheel is all the way out right now. Push it in right there, so there's a little bit of motion that way, and then up and down. That's pretty good right there, so shouldn't be any trouble with these front seats. All right, I'm gonna give you a quick look at the back seat here. So right here, we do still have, a somewhat decent textured armrest, good door handle, even a bottle holder and little storage compartment. Up here is hard plasticky, which you can kind of expect for this class. The Jetta was the exact same. But these seats are actually pretty darn comfortable considering the trim level and the price. So sitting behind myself at 5'9", I've got really good foot space actually, and really good knee space. One thing to note with this and the base trim, the LX, is that there's no mat pockets. There's no cup holders or center folding armrest right here. You can get those, but you would have to move up in trim level. And in fact, if you go to the Touring model, you actually get heated outboard seats. We do have grab handles on each side. The headrests are fixed, something to keep in mind, at least on this trim level. And then when I'm sitting up tall, I can still put a little bit above my head. If I sit up real tall, I can feel my hair, but it's really not a problem, even though we have a sloped roof line. The powertrain for the 2019 Civic is unchanged from last year and all the way down to 2016, but we get two different engine options. The LX and this Sport model will get our 2-liter multi-point injection engine. Otherwise, the EX and up will give you that 1.5-liter turbocharged engine that is direct injected. But this Sport model right here will give us 158 horsepower and 138 pound-feet of torque. And a manual, 6-speed manual is actually standard, with the CVT being optional. Once you get to the turbo engine, you get 174 horsepower, 162 pound-feet of torque, and miles per gallon will vary quite a bit on this Sport model. With the CVT, we'll get 29 in the city, 37 on the highway. But with the turbocharged engine in the CVT, you can get all the way from 32 in the city up to 42 on the highway. All right, y'all, we are on the test drive for the 2019 Honda Civic Sport. And this is the model with the CVT. Obviously, like I said, you can get the manual if you really want to. But we're gonna see how the CVT does, maybe test out these paddle shifters that'll simulate the gears and give you my thoughts on it. And my first impression of this car is that it feels very easy to drive. Just like any other Civic, you have pretty light steering, not super light, but you do still have a little bit of feedback to it. It seems like just a very easy car to get into and drive. Okay, so in terms of handling and steering feel, like I said, it does kind of have a lighter steering feel. I do like the way the steering wheel actually feels physically. And that turn, with the Civic, it's not going to be super sporty, even though we have the Sport name, but it's still a very easy vehicle to drive. The handling is plenty good for most people. And if I go ahead and step on it, pretty healthy acceleration, honestly. And with this 2-liter 2-liter engine, instead of that 1.5-liter turbo, With this, as the RPMs go up, you're gonna start to get more power as that happens. Instead of with the turbo, it's gonna come out a little lower and then kind of lag off. So depends what you prefer, what your favorite feel is. Sorry about that sun and the glare, it's just a really bad time of day. But let's go ahead and get on it again. And it's a surprisingly peppy vehicle considering it's just a 2-liter engine. If you pit this up against other 2-liter 4-cylinders that are not turbos, this will hold its own. When it comes to the braking, the Civic generally does have some pretty responsive brakes, and the pedal feel on this is really good. There's no guessing, no nonsense with that. Overall ride comfort in the Civic is really good. I mean, this thing is not going to be super plush and super soft, as you can hear some of the broken pieces of pavement that I'm hitting, but overall, a very compliant ride, very easy to drive, very nimble to drive around, perfect city car, perfect first car, something like that for a lot of people. Very economical, good commuter car. These seats are more comfortable than I was expecting and more comfortable than they have been on some previous generation Civics. A little bit more on the ride and handling is that we do get actually a fully independent rear suspension, so that can make a big difference in leveling things out and keeping you pretty good with your ride and your handling. I just put it in sport mode, and right away, even going slow, it's holding me over 2,000 RPM. So go ahead and get on it, and it's very quick to rev. So you drop it down into that S mode, it'll give you some quick shifts and some higher revs, and even downshifting, simulated third, simulated second, simulated first. It does a pretty good job of simulating that. Obviously, it is not going to actually shift a real transmission, but it's going to simulate it in the way that it feels, good enough for most people, and you can use those to have a little bit more fun, even use it for some engine braking if you want to. If I had to pit this up against other compacts in the class, it's not quite as fun to drive as the Mazda that I have reviewed before. The Jetta was recently upgraded, and it's very similar to this, but this probably handles a little bit better. Overall, this has a lot of space, offers some pretty nice features for the price. Honda definitely is usually a good value, even though they don't bargain a whole lot with their prices, but overall a good value car. It does a lot really well. It has a lot of space for the class, and it's extremely fuel efficient. I'm going to put it back in S mode again. Right away, the RPMs just went up an extra 1,000 RPM. You still do get a little bit of a CVT windiness at the top of those RPMs, but really it hasn't bothered me at all. And for most of you, that's not going to matter at all. If you don't want the CVT, you can get the manual transmission, and it's still holding the RPMs. In fact, let me downshift a little bit so it's mimicking third gear. A little bit down, shift, and it's pretty quick to respond. It doesn't quite have the same feeling of a shift. So if you're interested on more on the Civic, in fact, I have reviewed the 2018 Civic Sedan EXT, as well as the 2018 Honda Civic Hatchback Sport. So if you want to see those, if you're interested in either of those, please be sure to check those out. I've also reviewed the 2018 Honda Accord 1.5 liter Sport trim and the 2-liter turbo Touring. With some other compact cars, I've reviewed the Mazda 3, the Volkswagen Jetta, so please be sure to check those out. If you're really looking for fuel efficiency and you're considering the Civic, but maybe want something a little bit different, maybe a little bit more premium, take a look at the Honda Insight. I reviewed the 2019 Honda Insight. It's maybe just a little bit quieter. Not like this is loud or anything. Honda's never really been known for being super quiet, but I think they've done good since the last generation to make it acceptable in here, and it really doesn't seem to bother me at all. So that is going to be it for this review, guys. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Please be sure to subscribe and watch more videos. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. I appreciate y'all for watching. Thank you again to Honda Cars of Rockwall for letting me show you guys this vehicle, and we'll catch you next time.